you, playing a fighting game without knowing anything feels like crap. You don't want to play without knowing everything. And what you're describing is literally how people booted up and played these games for literally like 30 years. They clearly made this beta because they want people using the net play components so that they can get that data and that they can make changes for the real release of the game when it happens. If they give you the training mode, that probably is going to funnel less people into that, so they're going to get less viable data. Now, obviously, this is all hearsay, and obviously, like, not really relevant if the shit comes out and it doesn't work day one. So, you know, you can clip that one, I guess. Hopefully, they get what they need from this kind of test, and hopefully they have enough time to be able to make the changes on day one to where it works out, you know? I'm not saying it's ideal. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's ideal. But I'm saying you having like like what's that meme of that dude who's like this? Like you doing that in public because you don't know and can't have everything for a game that you have not played early, 60 days early for a game that you have not purchased is weird to me. I don't know. That's some weird shit. There's a matchup here that they got to figure out like a solution to. Because I've seen too many games go by the wayside in terms of any momentum or their ability to be better than what they are, just because they didn't have a beta or didn't have any testing like this, network testing, etc. for their game. So, like, for example, Type Lumina eventually got, like, fixed, right? But by then it's too late. Everything needs to work day one. If it doesn't work day one, it ain't gonna work. So, to me, that's a game where I'm like, man, if you guys just did a beta 3-4 months ahead of time, you have enough time to adjust changes and fix stuff, you know, maybe we're having a different conversation. Right? But I think the fear of cracks and specifically like info leaks, I think that really probably deters a lot of pubs from making some of these decisions. They got to really change the way that they look at this matchup. I think what you do is, what you have to get through like your head is, if you're a publisher, you're not going to beat the crackers. They're going to happen regardless. But at the same time, you can't get away with, especially if you're doing investing enough to where you have now like rollback netcode, crossplay, etc. in the package. These are premium features. You can't afford to have a game with that stuff and then it not launch day one with everything working properly. So I'm looking at it, you have to do this. So what's the way that you can like minimize the burn? Maybe put all your cards on the table before the leakers even come into play, right? Season 1 pass, have that, all that, you know. You're going to have to adjust your timetable, I think, in terms of what you put out there and how you reveal stuff. And that's already going to change because of Steam's updated rules anyway with this stuff. But I think that focusing more on getting the product to be something that is different on launch, but then also that takes all the information and all the data that they get from these playtest sessions and being able to apply that to the release and making a product that reflects that, I think that's more valuable than what you would lose from the other stuff, from the leaks and stuff. Because at the end of the day, like, if people are having a good time playing it when it's out, they're going to talk about it. They're going to show it off anyway. I don't think the hype really matters that much in the end, to be honest with you. The hype comes from people playing the game and having fun. So if you focus on that primarily, I think in the end, you can then tweak your marketing. You can then tweak, you know, your outreach and stuff like that to kind of tie those ends together. But first and foremost, it's got to come from, you have to test the game, you have to make changes, and shit has to work day one. That above all else. So if that means you have to change your timeline and change your approach to releasing new content, how we reveal the release of new content, and all that other stuff because of leakers and crackers, then that's something you have to figure out with your reveal schedule, with all that. My approach, I'm like, man, put all your cards on the table day one. That way they don't have anything to leak, you know? And that's obviously counterproductive in terms of modern marketing. You want the drip feed. You want consistent drip fed engagement with something, right? But there has to be some kind of in-between that they work out that can kind of do both in a way. You know, with the way that this stuff is set up right now, we're doing this beta test like this in February. This, to me, it's tough because I would have said they should have been doing this like 6 months ago, at least. Given how KOF 15 went down with the primary complaints, somebody made a website and all this other stuff. But then you put yourself in their shoes and it's like, well, shit, we're going to have to put the whole game out, basically. With some people going to be playing that shit mad early for like a year plus by the time it drops. It's like, that messes stuff up too. So I don't know. There has to be some kind of solution there. I don't know. But that's something that they have to focus on in terms of, I think, creating builds that people can play and engage with before launch, just to be able to solve problems. Because in the end, I'm not thinking about the launch of the game. I'm thinking about like a year down the road, 6 months down the road. You know, how much is this reveal worth in the end if so many people tapped out day one because they had a negative experience? You know what I mean? Now, to be fair, you know, if you're gonna compare this to some other games, there are other games that had early builds that went really poorly and people were not fucking with. And then those games turned out fine, you know, in the end. They did really well. I don't know if this this game is going to be afforded the same shit. But so far for me, it hasn't been too bad. When it works, it works. The truth is, again, when it comes to like training mode in this kind of beta, and I've kind of softened up on this over time. I remember, again, going to the Plus R beta, the Persona 4 Ultimate Arena Ultimax, various BBCP, BBCF location tests, Xrd, the entire series location tests, among others. That's just off the top of my head. So in some of these cases, we're talking day negative 365, where I went and I had to line up with 100 plus other people physically to a physical offline location. I had to pay 100 yen to wait 30 minutes to put the 100 yen in a machine. We play a first to 3 rounds game. The loser has to get off. If you win 5 games, you get kicked off. If you wanted to play by yourself, you could go play arcade mode up to like whatever it was, 3 or 5 stages. That's the experience that we had. So I'm thinking like, bruh, I would spend $90 on a game on a weekend just to play it early. We just had fun with it. We weren't doing everything. Were we doing optimal combos day one and shit like that? No. That said, I've come around to it now too, where we've been through enough of these online betas. Day ones especially are usually pretty rough for these. So for that reason, there probably should be some single player component that you can do even if the net play's not working. For that reason, I think like the tutorial's good, but I was like, do the tutorial, have a challenge mode or something like that where you can pick your character and it'll teach you something about them. But I'm like, for all of that, man, fuck it, you might as well just give them training mode. I don't know, it's just weird and it's something I cannot relate to. I think it's like a Zoomer issue where people are like, I need the optimal shit, day one competitive viability right now. Bro, can we have fun with the game? You can learn and play at the same time. You know, it's hard. It's a hard balance, and I don't know if there is any perfect answer for it. But I think, and I believe in the net positive that testing this kind of stuff to make sure that the rest of the game goes off without a hitch and plays well day one. I believe in the value of that over spoiling a leak or something like that. Like that's all stuff that I don't think is necessarily a be-all end-all. You know, I think you can find other ways to get that information across in ways that are exciting, that you don't have to have like in the package of the game, you know? I don't know. So I think I said this in jest in a video during the DNF beta like 3 years ago. This is kind of what I was alluding to. It might actually be kind of true, but that early SF5, SF6, the way that went down in terms of the crack, if you guys don't know, basically those games were cracked and put online months before they were released, like half a year plus in some cases. It was very obvious that some players were going super hard on the game offline just because it's natural, right? And it's like, yeah, that I'm sure that did put the fear of God in a lot of publishers and developers when it came to, you know, their release schedules and just like how the way this worked out. This is kind of funny now in retrospect because it's like, maybe I don't know, but like I said, my position is kind of softened on this over the years. I'm like, yeah, whatever, you might as well just give it to them. They're gonna figure out a way anyway. Just give it to them. But I'm saying, like, dude, if it gets to the point where betas can't be betas, like, what are we even doing here? You know, is that it?